not many people watch Grey's Anatomy or Scrubs and they think that's what I want to be, right?
Right.
You see doctors, you see nurses, and you see a few other professions. But again, there's so many different roles in healthcare that you don't see. And so part of one of the things I did in my role is help others understand the varying opportunities. So if you don't want to do nursing or you don't want to become a doctor, what else is available for you?
Right.
This episode is brought to you by Texas Mutual Insurance Company, the state's leading provider of workers' compensation insurance. Since 1991, Texas Mutual has been helping employers prevent workplace accidents. To learn more about how Texas Mutual provides a competitively priced source of workers' comp insurance for Texas employers, visit www.texasmutual.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Austin Hires Local podcast. I'm Ashley King. I am the Director of Healthcare Partnerships at Workforce Solution and guest hosting on a special edition of Austin Hires Local on healthcare today. I have my very good friend Beth Vaughn here with me today talking about our very favorite topic, healthcare. Beth, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Beth Vaughn. I am the Division Assistant Vice President of Academic Partnerships for Central West Texas HCA Healthcare and for Central Texas, otherwise known as St. David's Healthcare.
Perfect. We are glad that you are here today talking about healthcare. So healthcare is the only industry sector partnership that we have that is predominantly female-based. Love that. And then also we are going to talk about some of the great things that are happening through the Central Texas Healthcare Partnership, some of our shortages, what we've been doing to address them, finalize, talk about a little bit in our K-12 work, and then anything else that you want to throw at us about healthcare. You ready?
Let's get to it.
I know that there are a ton of different reasons that people go into healthcare. I'm curious, how did your journey start?
My grandmother was in and out of the hospitals for the large majority of my 6th, 7th, 8th grade years. And at that time, I wanted to be a veterinarian like my uncles. But as I saw her receiving the care she received in the hospitals for her heart failure, I saw the impact that they could make. Mm-hmm. I saw the impact that a great nurse could make and a nurse that wasn't so great. And as I saw them care for my grandmother, my favorite, the jewel of the family, I said, that's something that resonates with me. Mm-hmm. And as she got older, well into her 90s, I saw her go into hospice care. And again, the impact of these visits and the people that touched her lives, I wanted to be that kind of person that I could make a difference and treat every patient that I care for like it was my grandma, like it was my mom, like it was my sister. And that's kind of how I got into the healthcare and how I live my mission, helping individuals with getting into their careers in the role that I have now.
I love that. So I also have my grandmother that I love. And it is true, like the healthcare workers that provide the care can make such a huge impact, not only on their experience, but their recovery and how well they receive the treatment and just the instructions afterwards. Like if it's explained well, it makes such an impact. So I love that that's how you kind of got into this and you live that still to this day. As a nurse, we both know that is our largest shortage in healthcare that we have. It has been for years. I am excited to talk to you a little bit about that because we have made significant increases here in the Austin region. We have more than doubled the number of nursing graduates in the last 5 years, and just this past year increased it by 20%. Huge increases, which is fantastic. What I want to talk to you about, as you know, we don't want to just train them here in Austin. We want to capture them as well. What are some of the things that St. David's is doing and has put in place in order to capture those new graduates for nursing?
As these students are doing their clinical rotations, they're experiencing why they got into nursing, while they're doing their clinical rotations. So one of the things that we want to make sure is while they're learning, we're giving them the best learning experience possible. So our leaders, our bedside nurses, our teams make sure that we help them with removing any barriers while they're in clinical rotations and basically rolling out the red carpet, making sure that they're able to impact those patients in their own ways and supporting them through their journey to become a graduate nurse. So in addition to helping make them feel more welcome while they're there as a student, while they're there, we get this report from our clinical placement software program, and we use that report to see who's been coming through our doors. And we take that information and we share them opportunities to come and join our workforce by way of what's called a nurse externship. So anything that you learn while you're in nursing school, you can come and practice at the bedside. So being able to help those skills grow, harness, and getting more confident. And of course, that also builds a relationship and networking. While you're there and working with those individuals, you start thinking as a nurse extern, could I work here when I graduate? And you could see that while you're there working, right? In addition, we've also created a capstone enhancement program called ACE, the Advanced Student Experience. And what we do with that is everything that you've learned while you're in nursing school, you wrap up in a nice little bow and you go into clinical rotations with a one-on-one preceptor and you get to practice everything for that 12-hour shift with that preceptor. And since you're growing and learning through all of those skills from day one until this final semester, you're able to then say, this is the right place for me and join our team. We help with paid clinicals. We help them understand their benefits while they're doing these programs. And all of that comes together for them to say, this is the right fit for us. But as nurses are lifelong learners, it doesn't stop there. We also help them understand that there's pathways. While they're joining our team, we also help them see what's beyond, because a lot of the focus is on what's going to happen when you graduate nursing school, that residency, that 1 year of training. But what happens after that? Yeah. And a lot of organizations fall short with not offering opportunities for pathways. And one of the great things about St. David's is our opportunities for pathways. So once you're in your nursing program, like you and I, we love our grandmothers. We got into healthcare for a certain reason. Other people, during their clinical rotations or during an experience while they're in the hospital, they sometimes say, I want to be in oncology. But then they are impacted by an experience that pulls them away from that dream because they had something else deeply, profoundly moving. Now they're going from oncology to labor and delivery or emergency department. And one of the great things about what we do is we help you achieve that goal. So if you start off in a ortho trauma unit or a cardiac specialty unit, we can help move you from cardiac specialty unit to cardiac step down to cardiac ICU through our pathways and promotion. We also have a fellowship that we use to help you get into a leadership role, a case management role, an educator role, all the different things that happen after you become a new grad nurse. Where does your future take you? And we have these great programs that help get you to your professional goals. So not only do our programs result in a great conversion to hire, we also have a 93% 1-year retention and a 90% 5-year retention. And that's because we're doing a good job of engaging, retaining, and helping them grow professionally to meet those goals.
I love that. One of the things I love about nursing is there are so many different career pathways that you can take. And until you actually start getting in the profession, I don't think that you realize how many avenues there are and how many different ways that you can go. So I love that St. David's is kind of cultivating that. I know when we were working with the students and they're going through their clinical placements, they all think they want to go into pediatrics.
Or women, labor and delivery, deliver
a baby or take care of kids. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you get into those situations and you're like, absolutely, this is not for me. And you quickly switch. Or I have heard great stories about people going on rotations into mental health and just falling in love with it.
Right.
And so I love that the nursing programs actually kind of give them that exposure to all of those different kind of units and different opportunities for clinical placements so they can figure out where they want to be.
Exactly.
I know that your position was created brand new specifically for you to do everything that you just said.
Yes.
To really help those nurses figure out, cultivate, capture them, and really make those connections to the local higher education institutions. So, but it's grown so much more than that since you started.
Yes.
And we are not short of career occupations in healthcare. And we have shortages in the majority of them. As Austin continues to grow, your role is also growing into some of those other severe shortage areas. Can you tell us a little bit about that and the connections you've made to higher education to kind of grow those severe shortage areas?
Absolutely. So one of the things that you see in the nursing is the largest workforce. A lot of the great things that we do in nursing, we can replicate. If it's working well for this group, why couldn't we work this into other areas? So as we started looking in on, nursing is kind of at the point where we're able to look at other areas, we asked the question, where are some of the other areas we need to focus? One of the greatest areas also is cath lab. And so in looking at the cath lab tech arena, what are the different opportunities? So we did some research and we've been partnering with Dallas College to do a registered cardiovascular invasive specialist program, which is another word for a cath lab tech, right? And so these cath lab techs can go through a 12-month training program, and they are specialized, hyper-focused in doing cath lab procedures. They're hip-to-hip with a cardiovascular interventional radiologist. So anytime you have a heart attack and you need to go in to get a heart cath, those are the people that are working side by side, helping to remove that heart blockage, right? So those areas we have such a great need in. And because it's such a specialty niche, not many people watch Grey's Anatomy or Scrubs and they think, that's what I want to be, right?
Right.
You see doctors, you see nurses, and you see a few other professions. But again, there's so many different roles in healthcare that you don't see. And so part of one of the things I did in my role is help others understand the varying opportunities. So if you don't want to do nursing or you don't want to become a doctor, what else is available for you?
Right.
And so we help with exposure to our high school students. What else is available to you? And we've been bringing subject matter experts with us. So like our cath lab tech manager would come to these events and help explain to high school students, what does a cath lab tech do? What does a respiratory therapist do?
Because they have never heard of it.
Yes. And, counselors are there. They're helpful, but there's so many different niches within every industry. They can't know it all.
No.
And you don't know what to search because you don't know what's not there, right? So part of my role is helping with growing and understanding that. And so a part of that is partnering with our schools to offer these program tracks like the cath lab tech role. And so we've seen great success where we've asked some of our patient care technicians, hey, I know you're on a journey in healthcare. Do you know what you want to do? Come shadow in the cath lab. If you like it, we'll send you to school and pay for it. And when you graduate, you'll come work for us as a cath lab tech. And so last year, we opened up a program where we allowed 10 students to enroll. We graduated 8, and we placed all 8 in our cath labs across St. David's. And great feedback. They were making an entry-level wage as a patient care technician, now making a very highly competitive wage, and they are highly sought after. So definitely making an economic impact. Again, we enrolled another 10 into the cohort, and now the question is can we do this for other things? Like Nuke Med. Austin doesn't have a nuclear medicine program.
Right.
And we need nuclear medicine techs. So now we're replicating the successes that we've done with that cath lab program for nuclear med, CT upskill, MRI, trying to make sure we're helping create pathways for our employees because we want to help achieve their professional goals. Because if they grow with us, then we also help maintain and keep the workforce, which is what Austin needs. We need to keep them here because the people that we need to care for are here, right? We don't want them going somewhere else to get that, to provide that care. We need to keep them here. And so that's what we do in helping with that growth and that economic stability.
I love that. And the thing that you said that I love the most is that upskilling. So taking employees that you already have that are working in that entry-level field and giving them career opportunities. So one, you are providing a service to them because you are paying for that education that's going to get them to that higher living wage. But at the same time, that builds that relationship with that employee so they stay with your organization longer. Beth, I love what you said there about the upskilling. So taking those employees that you already have in-house that are entry-level positions and giving them opportunities to upskill to a higher position. So one, providing the training, paying for it, but then also giving them the opportunity to make that higher living wage. I love that you guys are doing that. It's exactly what we're trying to do here at Workforce Solutions and provide upskilling opportunities. And so I love that that's happening. Plus the retention you get from those employees when you're offering those type of programs. It's great because then you just recycle and recruit those next level entry workers for PCT and then upskill them again. And you have this cycle of, constant new recruits for that program.
A pipeline.
Exactly.
Pipeline, right? The keyword.
The keyword.
But it doesn't happen in a silo. We partner, right, with Workforce Solutions. We partner with our academic partners, our various schools in the region. We bring them to the table and we tell them this is what our needs are during our Central Texas Healthcare Partnership meeting, right, with our education consortium. This is what we're doing. These are what our needs are. And we share with our community. It helps them understand, wow, if they're doing this, maybe this is something that I can do too. Again, sharing information, partnering with our academic partners, partnering with Workforce Solutions, it all comes together to be able to create economic stability so that we can develop that pipeline and maintain it, right? Because these people don't just, fall out of the sky anymore. We want to make sure that we are cultivating and we are intentional and strategic about this.
This episode is brought to you by Texas Mutual Insurance Company, the state's leading provider of workers' compensation insurance. Since 1991, Texas Mutual has been helping employers prevent workplace accidents. To learn more about how Texas Mutual provides a competitively priced source of workers' comp insurance for Texas employers, visit www.texasmutual.com.
I love that. And you teed it up perfectly for the next topic I want to go to is Central Texas Healthcare Partnership. It is a unique consortium that we have here in Austin, and all of our major hospital systems are at the same table working to solve these problems. I think that you would agree it's too big. These shortages are too big to solve individually.
Yes.
And there was a time where you just would pay an extra $1 and steal somebody else's. And so really working together to solve it as a community is very unique to what we do with our industry sector partnership, specifically for healthcare. And so I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the collaboration between the healthcare providers, education, and then working with our community partners to just pull everything together to address those shortages.
Right. So with Central Texas Healthcare Partnership, we all come together to the table. It's not us versus them. It's a way to understand what all of our needs are. And if we all have the same needs, what can we do to be able to grow the pipeline, right? If we need more surge techs, we can talk to our local surge tech programs and say, how can we help you increase your programmatic seats? What do you need from us so that we can grow the number? So that way there isn't this battle between who can hire who. It's we have 100 openings, we have 80 grads, right? And so now we have a opportunity and pipelines for people to be graduating, coming into the workforce, and then the next group coming in. And for those that are joining us, how can we upskill the surge techs into first assist or other kinds of opportunities? So it's bringing everyone to the table, understanding it's not us versus you. It's not company A against company B. It's we all have this shortage. So what can we do? How can we communicate and work together to solve that crisis? And I think one of the best ones is when we looked at our nursing shortage, how could we increase our student footprint? The Central Texas Healthcare Partnership worked on a few metrics. And one of those was 8-hour clinical rotations. If we could do 8-hour clinical rotations, instead of it being 2 students a day for 12 hours, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If we did 8-hour clinicals, we would have the opportunity to have 3 students in the place of 2. Having that opportunity has helped us grow our numbers significantly. And I'm going to let you give the overall stat because that is something that I feel has definitely shown with our partnership because we couldn't have done that in a silo, right? If one hospital is offering 8 hours, but another one's offering 12, we're not able to to meet the goals that we need to meet as a community, our goal is to graduate enough nurses to fill these empty vacancies. So working together, if we all agree on it together, we work on the goal together, we will be able to pull ourselves out of it, which I think our data speaks for that. So do you want to hit us with those datas?
Sure. I will say we have been able to grow the number. So back in 2019, we were graduating about 575 nurses-ish. And now just this past year, so 2024 is the last data that we have, is we actually graduated 1,276 nurses. And that's in a 5-year period. And so there's not one organization that could have done that alone.
Right.
The big barrier that we have to growing the number of nursing graduates is clinical placements.
Right.
So through clinical placements, we worked on that as a consortium with all 3 of the hospital systems working together to take more students. We switched up 8 hours to 12 hours and how we could do that. Mm-hmm. Really working with our schools also to encourage them to do evening clinicals, to increase their weekend clinicals, really utilize all of that unit time that we had that was being underutilized. Right. And then simulation. Mm-hmm. So we can offset clinical hours through simulation, which we also track and encourage through the consortium, through the schools. And through that, we have been able to increase the number of graduates. One, we've increased for the schools that we have, but then we've also brought new schools to the region as well.
We have.
So yeah, it's very exciting that, we have the opportunity to talk about other shortages in healthcare because for so long we were in such dire crisis for nursing. Mm-hmm. We really didn't have an opportunity to talk much outside of that. And so the fact that we're finally getting our heads above water here in the Austin region for nursing and able to talk about some of those other shortages, rad tech, respiratory therapy, surgical tech, medical assistants, being able to start addressing some of those other shortages has been huge for our region, not only to fix those shortages, but to provide jobs to a lot of people in our communities as well.
Absolutely. It doesn't happen in a silo.
It does not happen in a silo.
We all do it together.
And it doesn't happen overnight. I think that's the thing. People love instant results. I am one of them. I will be completely honest. But
who doesn't?
It does take having those conversations and everyone meeting at the same table to talk about what the issues are and then being committed to addressing them.
Agreed. It definitely has been able to help us turn and focus on some of these other, because in a healthcare setting, it's a hospital. You have so many roles in there. And I think that with our Central Texas Healthcare Partnership, we've been able to turn our eye and start working on some of these other areas. And again, creating opportunities and pathways where if you did not want to become a nurse, some of the multiple various different careers that are available, we've been able to help with growing program seats, securing clinical rotations, and the same successes that we've done with our nursing students, we've been able to implement with our allied health spaces with, different clinical rotation hours, alternating, floating, all those things that we're working on, we've been able to replicate those successes in some of these other allied health space. And again, it doesn't happen overnight. So hopefully as we've turned our eye towards the allied health, in a year's time, we might be singing a different tune.
That's what we're hoping for. Perfect. So our next is we do have all of these shortages, our pipeline. So really want to kind of dive into that K-12 space because we've had some really, really great wins there. So I know the biggest barrier that we had for getting students into our hospital systems, into those healthcare settings, was an age restriction.
Right.
So I know that you were kind of one of our front runners for changing policies in order to get more K-12 students in. So love to hear you talk a little bit about that process.
Sure. And again, whenever I told you about my story, my why, during 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you start thinking about what you want to be, right? And there's that single impact that changes your trajectory.
It does.
And if we don't step in and share all the opportunity, we won't be able to impact all of these high school grads' trajectory. We want to make sure that we are providing opportunities to educate, inform, and be able to provide that impact, that singular impact point where they're going to say, that's what I want to do. Because if we don't do that, then we won't be able to fill those vacancies, because all of our future nursing students were once a high school student.
Yes.
All of our future allied health needs that we need to focus on, they don't just magically show up. They start off and they start thinking about that in that 6th grade time frame, right? With our Texas Education Agency, they have to declare what they're wanting to do around the 8th grade time.
They do.
By the time they hit 9th grade, they are being set up for success to fulfill that role, whether you go into hospitality, a police officer, or healthcare. You're taking these classes, these industry-based certifications in high school because you made that declaration back in 8th grade. But before you do that declaration in 8th grade, we've got to be able to intervene. So we are doing fantastic things in that space by doing field trips to the hospitals, field trips to learning opportunities. We're planning a healthcare expo where you get to learn about all the opportunities. Come one, come all, learn about it, right? We are doing opportunities that are going to help these individuals, these middle schoolers choose what they want to do in high school. In addition, once they make it to that high school, it's keeping them engaged, because it doesn't get easier. It gets harder. Just like life does, we're helping them prepare to get into healthcare. If they do choose nursing, it's going to be a hard journey. So keeping them engaged and excited, because when you're engaged and excited, then you begin to say, I can push through this. I can make it through A&P. I can make it through this course. I can do it, as long as we're doing that. And so some of the partnerships that I've been working on is having our speakers, our healthcare speakers, come and talk to them about a day in the life of a labor and delivery nurse, a day in the life of an ED nurse, a day in the life of an oncology nurse. Having my imaging services leaders come and talk about all the pathways that a rad tech can go into, which is just as prolific as nursing. You have so many opportunities, but again, helping them stay engaged and interested, as well as when they graduate, they're looking for opportunities to join the workforce in the hospital so they can make a wage.
Right.
And they want to start looking good on their resume. So when they go to apply for med school, nursing school, rad tech school, they show they have some real life experience. And so some of them have been approaching us, a few years ago. They want to do something while they're in high school. They want to do clinical rotations while in high school. So we've partnered with our local PTech, Pathways for Technology, early college, high school, basically a program that helps set students up for success in high school so they can get these degrees, these level 3 certificates, and even industry-based certifications. And while they're doing these rotations, allowing them to do hands-on skills.
Right.
Because I can tell you how to do a burpee and show you, but it's another thing for you to do it.
You to do it yourself.
And that's what we're missing. When they start doing the skills is when they start linking up that action into their brain and solidifying that this is the correct path. And when they do it and they see it and they feel that rewarding feeling that you get when you're a nurse, a rad tech, a surg tech, when you feel that feeling as a high school student, you're like, this is it for me.
Yep.
This is where I want to go, right? And so the goal is that we reinvigorate that for them. We keep them engaged. They learn these skills. And then while they're in high school and they're learning these industry-based certifications like patient care technician, CMA, we can actually hire them because that's the link. Right. That's the missing link, right?
Right.
We want to make sure that they can be hired, right? So we've changed our hiring age to 17, where we now allow minors that they can apply while they're still in high school so they can come and work for our company and keep on that same trajectory where they do the skill, they feel the skill, and that's the reward. The reward you get for providing somebody a simple act of kindness like brushing their hair. And that helps keep you invigorated while you're going through the hard track of going through a healthcare degree.
Right.
So that's the ultimate goal in allowing that opportunity for these high school students. Our company's mindset, St. David, all coming together. And it wasn't just my decision. It was the support of our senior leadership, our legal team, our leadership. Everybody was on board and saying, this makes sense. These high school students are our future. And if we don't invest in them, then they're not going to be able to invest in us, right? So it's giving those moments of impact to be able to change their trajectory or strengthen their commitment to the healthcare pipeline. That's what our hopes and our partnerships with what we do with our high school students.
It's great. I love that. And I love that being able to apply what you learn into the classroom into real life scenarios. I think that's often what's missing for students, especially, is being able to see themselves doing that in like a real work environment.
Right.
So by taking them out of the classroom, putting them in these scenarios where they're actually able to, one, be in a work environment, two, applying what they're learning in the classroom, it's very impactful. The other thing I love about that is these steps, other hospital systems have adopted that same policy. So it's not just one system that made the change, but others doing the same because of the success and seeing the value in high school students being in that work environment at an earlier age. Love that. Also, with that, I know we've been doing a lot of work to try and increase the certifications offered to high school students in healthcare. So I know that you have been very implemental into getting the LVN program at Round Rock ISD. And you have been helping us with the Pathways program that we are going to be starting next year with Hayes ISD and Pflugerville ISD that offers 5 different pathways for high school students. So love to hear a little bit more about why you think that's important and how we've been able to implement that as a consortium.
So whenever you're looking at high school grads, right, in Austin and in other areas as well, about 50% go on to higher education, which when you're thinking about going into healthcare, it is a skilled workforce. Many of the roles require a degree or form of training, right? You're caring for those that are sick and vulnerable. And if only 50% of high school graduates are going on to get a higher education, a degree, then in a few years' time, we're going to be in a bad situation. So if we can partner with the high schools to be able to offer experiences, certifications, degrees while they're in high school, when they graduate, they actually have a way to work, contribute to the workforce. Because instead of a high school student graduating and going to work at a clothing store, because they need to make money, they need to pay bills, they need to help the family, now they'll be graduating with a healthcare degree. So with our partnership with Round Rock ISD at Cedar Ridge High School for their LVN program and Austin Community College, we have been able to enroll students passionate about healthcare, passionate about nursing, where they're taking steps in 9th grade to begin that process by taking these classes that they need, doing field trips to the hospitals, working on certain kind of certifications that'll help get them ready, like patient care technician. As they go through 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, when they graduate, one more semester, and they will become LVN certified. They'll be a nurse. And that right there is changing the trajectory of all of those high school graduates. Right. Because not only will, instead of getting a entry-level wage as working at a fast food restaurant or a clothing store, they are now making a nursing wage when they graduate high school, which is a win for everyone involved. And it doesn't stop there. LVN, again, like you've heard in our previous conversation, it bridges into so much. LVN can bridge into an associate degree, which can bridge into a bachelor's degree, which can bridge into a master's and a doctorate. And all of those the St. David's helps with paying for, getting you to that next step with tuition reimbursement, loan repayment, helping you move to the next level professionally, which setting these students up for success is going to change not only their trajectory, but it's also going to help our economy, pulling them out of any kind of debt or any kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Poverty.
Pulling them out of the poverty level, right? So not that every student that's there is poverty, but helping to pull them out of a certain bracket, helping them with now, instead of them bringing home $15 an hour, they'll be making a fantastic nursing wage, being able to truly contribute not only to the health and wellness of Austin, but helping their families, right? And then they can only go up from there. All the things that we offer, only going up from there. So it's really going to help with economic stability.
Offering careers.
Pathways.
Well, pathways. And I love that it's one of those things, not everyone's path looks the same. I think that's one thing that we found is, if you talk to a nurse, if you talk to 10 nurses, they probably all got to their career a different way. Because there are so many different pathways and so many different choices and, bridge programs. And I love that because not everyone's path looks the same. And especially for high school students that may or may not know what they want to do or how to get there or have the opportunity to go directly to college.
Right.
It gives an opportunity to have a certification where you can make a living wage right out of high school.
It does. And again, game changer for many. I think the great thing is, at these career fairs, we often hear the words, I'm tired of being laid off. I'm a software engineer. This is the third time I'm laid off, and I just want to have a job that I can depend on. I'm passionate about, caring for others. It's just, I want something that's stable. And so seeing all the different walks of life, choosing to go back to school, whether it's an accelerated program, a traditional program, being able to go back to school and get into healthcare so that they can provide care a different way, and fulfill their dreams. So if you're a software engineer, you can go into nursing informatics, right? Which is basically working with computers as a nurse, which again, not everybody knows that there's an opportunity, but there is, right? So that's just the tip of the iceberg, but there's opportunities for that, which is again, something that can be very rewarding, but you don't know if you're not in healthcare or you don't attend all these events that we have available.
Right. No, I love that. Now transitioning into looking at the future. Austin is growing at an exceptional rate. We have new hospitals, new clinics, new facilities. Long-term care is growing by the minute. So healthcare as a whole, we already have shortages and we're still continuing to grow. How do you see Central Texas Healthcare Partnership, St. David's, yourself playing a role in that? And what do you see for the future of healthcare?
And I think we've already taken steps towards that, Ashley. Again, you referenced this earlier. We have more nursing schools coming to Austin, right? Because of all the things that we've done early on and setting ourselves up for success with our multiple different opportunities for different shifts, nights, evenings, weekends, 3 shifts in the place of 2 shifts. All the different things that we're doing has created space where we can start adding more nursing schools coming to Austin, right? So as we're growing, we are already forecasting what that's going to look like. And we've begun to bring new schools to the area, right? St. Edward's University, Fairfield, they just opened up nursing programs in the past year. ACC, already planning their Hayes campus expansion. All these different schools looking at growth and expansion in preparation for this. And again, that's just with nursing. The same conversations are had in the allied health space. As these hospitals, as the hospitals have to open up more sites to be able to provide more care for our growing population, we are projecting we're going to need more. So it's the partnership of Central Texas Healthcare Partnership of we are projecting 200 more in the next year, 300 more in this area, and coming together and growing those numbers. And if we can replicate the same success that we've been doing, copy paste, we'll be set up for that future growth and expansion by continuing our partnership and continuing having these conversations. And if anything new pops up, again, we come together to the table and we discuss it. In 5 years from now, with AI, with technology, we might have a whole new need. But that's the great thing, is that it's not just one person making one decision. It's all of us coming together to the table and saying, we are seeing this as a trend. What can we do? And we all come together to figure out what that is. And that's one of the great things about our partnership with CTHP, with Workforce Solutions, is that it's not just one person battling this alone, because one person against this storm is not going to survive.
Right.
But as a whole, as we're looking at our mission to provide the care for the health and wellness of Austin, we are doing this as a group. And we can definitely weather the storm as we make these decisions together.
Thank you, Beth. I appreciate you being on here today. I appreciate all the work that you're doing in healthcare to make our communities healthier. I think that healthcare has a huge opportunity, and we both agree. I know we think it's a great career pathway for anyone who wants stability in their lives or wants to try something new. So encourage anyone that is interested to explore healthcare. I appreciate St. David's and you offering the opportunities to do that throughout our community. And for bringing local people to local jobs.
Ashley, I think that the appreciation comes back because when I look at what we do here in Austin, I oversee different areas, and this is not found in many places. So I hope this conversation reaches many ears because the successes that you have led here under your leadership is definitely something that it deserves a round of applause because again, these conversations are sometimes not easy. Sometimes there's hard conversations to be had, right?
Sure.
Pulling teeth when teeth don't need to be pulled, but you have hard conversations and you set the bar very high. So I hope that this podcast, these conversations reaches many areas because if others can have the same mindset as what our partnership does, your leadership is much appreciated right back at you because again, none of these things happen in a silo. It takes a village to be able to bring the changes and the positive results that you have from under your leadership as we've gone through these several years.
Well, we're fortunate. We have great leaders, great industry partners. And like I said, I think it all comes back to the collaboration. So appreciate you being on and look forward to changing healthcare in the future.
Here's to the next 5 years and weathering the storm together.
Weathering the storm.
Thanks for listening to Austin Hires Local, powered by Workforce Solutions Capital Area. To learn more about what you heard today or to see what Workforce Solutions Capital Area can do for you, visit wfscapitalarea.com. To stay updated on new episodes, subscribe to Austin Hires Local on your podcast app of choice. Until next time.